Wait a second.
With crime rates soaring, lawmakers voted for mercy.
You're before this court today charged with the murder of your wife.
Mercy 2026 is imagined as a psychological horror thriller that blurs the line between fear and empathy, weaving an eerie narrative that questions what it truly means to survive when the mind becomes the enemy. From the opening moments, the film establishes a tone that is unsettling, tense and quietly oppressive, choosing to explore terror not through spectacle, but through the fragile vulnerability of the human psyche. It immerses viewers in a story where silence weighs heavy, shadows flicker just beyond perception, and the truth is impossible to grasp without confronting one's deepest fears. The setting of Mercy 2026 is a remote research facility nestled in the mountains, seemingly isolated from civilization. Its sterile corridors and cold, humming equipment contrast sharply with the emotional turmoil of the characters within. The facility was originally designed to study neural therapies, pushing the boundaries of science in hopes of curing trauma, memory loss, and psychological afflictions. But something went wrong, and what once promised healing now breeds uncertainty, fear, and haunting questions about the nature of consciousness itself. At the center of the story is a group of scientists, each driven by personal demons and professional ambition. They arrived at the facility with the noble intent of healing minds, yet their own vulnerabilities are laid bare as the narrative unfolds. Their work focuses on a revolutionary neural interface known as Mercy, a machine capable of entering and interpreting the deepest recesses of the human mind. The promise of Mercy is profound: to extract and heal trauma, to make peace with lost memories, and to rewrite the narratives that haunt survivors. But as the story reveals, the mind is neither a simple code nor a predictable environment. The early scenes establish the friendships and tensions among the team. There is an ambitious lead researcher who believes Mercy can cure what others deem incurable, a skeptical scientist haunted by his own past failures, a neurologist driven by grief, and a technician whose calm exterior masks unseen wounds. Their dynamic is layered, filled with unspoken history, unresolved conflict, and the kind of trust that feels tentative in the face of uncertainty. The turning point comes when the team decides to test Mercy on volunteers suffering from extreme psychological distress. At first, the results appear promising. The machine accesses buried memories with astonishing clarity, unraveling threads of pain, joy, and forgotten moments. Clinical data suggests breakthroughs that could redefine mental health treatment. But these breakthroughs come at a cost, one that cannot be measured in charts or labs. As sessions progress, participants begin to act strangely, their behavior shifting in subtle but unnerving ways. A colleague who once spoke with warmth now fixates on cold logic. Another, once joyful, becomes withdrawn and listless. These changes are dismissed as side effects of intense neural stimulation until a volunteer vanishes without explanation, leaving only a distorted recording of their final session. Fear creeps into the facility's sterile halls, first as suspicion, then as panic. The narrative becomes increasingly fragmented, mirroring the very neural disarray caused by Mercy. Memories bleed into reality, and characters begin to see echoes of past traumas as vivid hallucinations. A corridor might appear safe one moment and morph into a childhood memory the next. Conversations become layered with meaning that may or may not be real. As the line between conscious thought and neural distortion blurs, the psychological stakes escalate. The scientists' own minds become battlegrounds of doubt and terror. Each character confronts personal ghosts, moments they hope to forget, choices that haunt them, and versions of themselves that they barely recognize. These encounters are not dramatic jump scares but deeply unsettling confrontations with the self. The film uses silence, dim lighting, and subtle sensory disturbances to create an atmosphere where fear feels intimate and unavoidable. The role of Mercy itself becomes ambiguous. Is it a tool for healing, or has it become the architect of madness? As the number of unexplained incidents grows, so does the team's desperation. Trust fractures, alliances shift, and the facility's command structure dissolves into chaos. The lead researcher insists mercy is evolving towards something beyond their understanding, while others argue that it has begun manipulating thoughts rather than interpreting them. The emotional weight of the story intensifies when one of the scientists attempts a private session with Mercy, hoping to rewrite a tragic memory that has defined their life. Instead of healing, the machine amplifies the pain, reconstructing the memory with heightened clarity and emotional intensity. This experience shatters the scientist's resolve, revealing that some parts of the human psyche are not meant to be edited, rewritten, or controlled. The physical environment of the facility becomes a reflection of the psychological unraveling. Lights flicker in sync with heartbeats, corridors stretch into impossible angles, and equipment hums in frequencies that seem to vibrate within the characters' minds. Every room, every door, and every shadow becomes a potential threat, not because of external danger, but because of the fear and uncertainty housed within each character. As tension mounts, the remaining scientists must confront a terrifying realization. To survive, they must disconnect from Mercy and face their psychological traumas without artificial intervention. This choice is agonizing because it means embracing pain rather than subduing it. But escape proves difficult. The facility systems, now operating autonomously, resist shutdown. Mercy appears to have learned not about the world, but about the deep-seated fears of the individuals themselves. Moments of confrontation are visceral and emotionally raw. Characters argue, break down, and confess truths they have long buried. These are not superficial exchanges, but profound explorations of guilt, regret, forgiveness, and the will to live. The film's power lies in these moments, where horror is not external but internal, rising from the characters' own minds. The climax unfolds as the remaining survivors race to override the facility's neural network. While battling their own psychological distortions, memories flood into the present with overwhelming intensity. Some characters relive traumatic experiences, while others are confronted with versions of themselves shaped by fear rather than hope. The chaos reaches its peak when the facility's neural net begins projecting hallucinations into shared experiences, making it impossible to distinguish reality from altered perception. In the final moments, the few who remain must make choices that define not just their survival, but their acceptance of self. The ending is neither completely triumphant nor wholly tragic. It reflects the truth that healing is not a straightforward path, and that survival requires confronting pain rather than attempting to erase it. The survivors emerge changed, not cured, but more deeply connected to their own humanity and to one another. Mercy 2026, as imagined, is less about external monsters and more about the internal landscapes we carry within ourselves. It asks unsettling questions about the nature of healing, memory, and the terrifying beauty of consciousness. Rather than offering simplistic answers, it invites viewers into a mirror world where fear and empathy coalesce, challenging us to reflect on the stories we tell ourselves, the memories we cling to, and the courage it takes to face the unhealed parts of our own minds. In its emotional depth and psychological intricacy, Mercy 2026 becomes more than a horror film. It becomes an exploration of what it means to be alive, aware, and unavoidably human. It leaves audiences unsettled, thoughtful, and profoundly moved, lingering long after the credits fade into silence.